Wow, what's that? Is that a clone true monk build? Why are you joining in Thorian? This noob, honestly, for real. But really, it's actually not that bad as people say it to be, even outside of Thorian. Giant Bomb Gauntlets will give you more damage against flamed enemies as per usual, so you do want to run that. Mastery Tree, just get the end of the left and right side. The middle paths are like, they don't really give you much damage, so there's no point going that really. And Fire Sutra Mastery, you want to inflict more Inferno because that way you can be useful in MV because you'll be like the assassin but for burn. And then for Soul Tree, just get damage 2 as per usual, and then get DOT, especially because your burns will actually help out in MV a bit if you're Dullahan especially. And then instead of showcasing mobs as per usual, I decided to showcase the void mobs because they're a bit more interesting and a bit more variety, and they're a bit harder too. And I'll show off how it actually does in solos. So the mushroom is actually really easy. And I'll show you how to play monk. So basically you want to go for a fire sutra and then inflating barrage, because that way you can maximize the amount of chance you can inflict burn on the enemy. And as you'll see, the passive that called Blessed Fists lets you block and take less damage, and it lets you heal more every turn. Healing more every turn is actually really good. That's why you could run Way of Life if you wanted to, and it'll be extremely good for surviving. But I went cut the Gilded Covenant because I wanted another damaging move. But honestly, World of Life is realistically the best option you have because you'll regenerate a lot per turn, which is really good for solo play, and you won't be needing to rely on more players much. Next up, we have the Cancer Golem because if you're not a speed build, it's actually relatively difficult for any build. You're basically forced to stat check it, and you're forced to dodge a Sand Eruption, or else you basically wipe. Here I didn't dodge a Sand Eruption, but because I had the max Way of Blades, the Blades Guild, then I had the one-shot protection from the Mulligan, which is actually proves pretty useful sometimes, which is actually a good reason why you should get the Blades of the World talent thing. You're probably wondering why I went for a subclass, a super that people call relatively mid on my P10 T5. Well, just because it's more interesting than playing some brain dead shit. Even though, yes, I do have all the meta builds on my account, so I just wanted to play something off meta for a bit because it's a bit more fun for me. Also, the fact that you can stack burn instead of poison is more interesting to me because it synergizes well with the Connoisseur move, which absorbs all the debuffs and deals damage. So I won't be reliant on other people to deal debuffs for me because the Connoisseur just does a lot of damage on my own because I have like 20 burns on him if I get lucky with the Sutra plus Flame Barrage combo. So yeah. A good combination for the gems for the weapon is probably the Voltaic for sure, and maybe some Shattering because you are doing a lot of flame proc, so it's actually really good. The Dragon Ring is because you're constantly applying Inferno, as you see here. Like, he's almost always burned when I'm in combat, so you're always getting the Dragon Ring benefit no matter what, which is just free damage overall. And yeah, Connoisseur did carry me there, but if you just played a bit better and dodged Sand Eruption, you wouldn't even need Connoisseur. Anyways, to the subclass Alchemist, it's just a good subclass to have because you have a source of debuffs, which means you can inflict defense down and other good debuffs like poison. Also, Monk is actually not that bad in MV because you can run Corrosion Trinket, and because you're inflicting burn, which is another source of damage, you can pair the burn monk build with poison assassin crit build, and you'll be having constant poison and burn, which on top of the ghost flame from Dullahan, you'll be doing even more DOT damage every turn. Which is actually why I think the monk is actually pretty underrated, because it's not only is it actually useful, it's actually pretty underrated by the community. It's commonly shit on because it can't really do Yarthul or the Volcano really well in the early game, but later on those factors don't really matter because Yarthul is just an early game boss, and the Volcano mobs, you can easily kill them without flame moves. Also, it's not even that bad in Yarthul. I don't even know what people are talking about. Yes, it does 50% less damage than its nuking moves, but that doesn't mean it doesn't do damage per se. And then the artifact is just Delaying Core. Delaying Core is probably your best option because it's just free damage at max at high HP, and the monk has relatively high regen and a stacks on Giant Ring if you get burnt, so you're probably gonna have Delaying Core faster than other non-World of Life users, which is actually pretty good. The reason why I don't run Chaos Orb is because it's not inflicting debuffs nearly as fast as Crit Assassin with Corrosion, which deals debuffs every single turn, so it's actually pretty valid. But you're only inflicting burns on like a couple of moves, and after Sutra's off, you're basically never inflicting burn. And yes, this is probably the boss that's the monk's worst enemy, and it took me about 2 minutes unsped up, I think. Yeah, it's about 2 minutes and something seconds. But even then, it's not even that bad for a class that does half of its potential DPS output, which just shows that even though I only do 50% of my potential damage, it still clears relatively easily. And if you're still planning to run Patent Tier 3 or above with this build, just note that after the stuff gets nerfed, like after, because the nerfs aren't in live servers yet, so basically what that means is that your buffs will still affect Connoisseur and it'll still do damage, but after the buffs won't affect Connoisseur anymore, it won't really matter because you barely have any damage buffs on this class in the first place, which means that the damage on Connoisseur is barely going to be changed. And then, as per usual, you're probably wondering what exact stuff I did to one-shot Thorian again. It's actually really simple. It only took me the footage was like 4 minutes unsped up. It's 2x right now, so it's 2 minutes, which means even if the machine's setup is actually pretty worth it. Besides, the chip damage we did to him in those 4 minutes was enough to get him to almost half HP anyway. And this is where Flame Dropkick is most useful for. If you're like setting up for like a big nuke move, then you want to use Flame Dropkick because it does all that damage at once. And if you crit, you make all that damage is all crit. And with the B2 precision ring, your crit damage is 2.6x. So if you crit, you do 2.6x more damage, which is the easiest multiplier you can easily hit. However, it is locked by a bit of RNG. And yet again, Corvolos can buff the monk skills. I'm honestly not sure when I'm going to upload it. I'll probably remake it to Stultus today. I'll probably max it by tomorrow. But the video, probably at latest Friday, I hope.